welcome back to my channel. And if you're new here, my name is Eritic, and we talk about spirituality, we heal, and sometimes we do crafts. But today we got a healing video. It's here, okay? This is the beginning of my Digging Deep series because it's time for us to get a little deep. You know, I've taught you guys a couple little things. We've talked about meditating, we've talked about my experience with spirituality, and we talked about crystals. So I thought, why not get into the deep stuff that a lot of us like to avoid? So for the most part, we don't like to tap into those emotions, you know. I'm here to do the job, and different background because I'm in a different place. I'm no longer in the residence that I started in, and I'm in a full transition mode right now. Don't know where life is taking me, but all I can say is that it's been interesting, to say the least. More on that later. As you guys can see by the title, let's get right into it. That this topic today is about my toxic relationship with emotionally unavailable people, right? I came to this realization once I started my spiritual journey and really started the journey of my self-love journey, and what it really looked like to love myself deeply, and what it really looked like to not put all of my eggs in one basket, such as putting the expectation of people loving me all on certain people, or, you know, all on anybody except for myself, you know, and not finding that love within me first. I came to this realization when I started to evaluate the people in my life, and I just realized that, you know, I was always labeled as the overly emotional friend, or the overly emotional daughter, or sibling, or girlfriend. You know, I just was always labeled that. And for a minute there, I thought I was just overly emotional. I thought I took things too seriously. I thought that, you know, I'm tripping. I'm the one tripping. I'm the one who doesn't understand everyone else. Everyone understands where I'm coming from, but I'm reading into it too deep. That's basically how I would take it, you know. And then it came to a place where I was like, well, no. Like, when do my feelings matter then? When will the way that I feel come into a factor over the way that people feel over how I feel, if that makes sense? You know, I was so worried about people pleasing and making everybody else feel good when no one made me feel good. And so I had to tackle that. And, you know, people who are natural caregivers, such as myself, and natural empaths, and are always willing to understand everyone else's emotions and understand where everyone's coming from, even though no one understands them, you tend to attract these people who rely on other people to feel their emotions for them, and who rely on your caregiving skills, your emotional energy, all of that in order to get by every single day, you know, because they aren't the ones who can tap into their own emotions, which they are actually. I mean, they're able to. They just feel like it's just so hard, and it's literally going to kill them if they tap into that emotion that hurts so bad, you know. And I can't say that it won't affect these type of people in a way that is unimaginable, because I'm able to process my emotions, and I'm able to sit back and really think like, well, you know, this is what I need for myself, this is what I want out of other people, this is how I feel about this situation, and these are the solutions that I can take, you know, whether it be on me or whether it be on someone else's part. And a lot of people can't sit back and do that because they're scared of the reaction. They're scared of the change that comes behind that. They're scared of the truths they have to face, and they're scared of seeing themselves, their reflection in the mirror. I had to dig down deep as to why I was in love with these type of people, because I started to like really think about it. Like, you know, I think almost everyone in my life, with the exception of like one person, does not tap into their emotions, and it baffled me. I guess I was in a space where I could have been hypersensitive, you know, and that's not a bad thing. It's just I was so sensitive to things that I understood where they were coming from. I'm an empath, so I feel your feelings probably deeper than you feel them. And I guess that's where things got a little muddy. I feel them so much that I have completely taken over your emotions, and now you don't feel them anymore because you gave all that energy to me. When I say you, I'm talking about the emotionally unavailable people. They're good at giving their emotions away, you know, and so I was so blinded by that. And I just assumed everything was my fault because eventually they kind of pulled narcissistic traits out where accountability was not something they were going to do for their actions because they weren't willing to feel those emotions. And really, in their words, I shouldn't have felt that way, or they're sorry they made me feel that way, but I still shouldn't feel that way regardless of the matter, or their intention was not that. And regardless, they're not apologizing because they did nothing wrong. It's all in how I took it. They just had real narcissistic traits that were just like, you're wrong for this many reasons, and what you're saying that happened didn't happen that way. I don't know what to tell you, but it didn't happen that way. At what point was I gonna stick up and be like, well, yeah, your intention might not have been that. Yeah, to you it didn't happen that way, but when do my feelings and my perception get honored? And when do I get owed the conversation that I gave you to talk about my feelings and actually be understood? Because I always understand where you're coming from, and I'm like, you know what, I didn't mean that in that way. This is what I meant. In the future, I will understand this is how this affects you in some kind of way. This triggers you in some kind of way. So I will handle you with care because I love you. And I understand that everyone has emotions and everyone has triggers, But instead, I was met by people who were like, well, you need to get over that. You need to not feel that way because it's not how it seems. It's not my intention. That's not what I was trying to do. Even though their actions showed they were doing that. You know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, you can say that wasn't your intention, but what did your action actually show? Your action showed something very emotionalist towards me and something that I needed to make up for. I needed to compensate that energy of empathy that you weren't willing to give me. I found myself overworking because I would have to empathize with myself and then empathize with someone who told me that I shouldn't feel the way that I felt, So it's like, eventually, after being around people like that for so long and consistently seeking those type of people, I realized that I was pushing my emotions to the side eventually because I can only double work for so long. I can only be so empathetic to so many situations before my energy is gone. And this is where the emotionally unavailable people come and suck that energy out of you, just like narcissists. And at this point, it's kind of like, are they different? I think emotionally unavailable people have narcissistic traits for sure. I'm not going to just label everyone a narcissist because not everyone is, but a lot of people do embody those traits when they are emotionally unavailable. And so as an empath, I found myself losing touch with my emotions. I can't remember who it was right off the top of my head, but I was watching somebody that was talking about how emotionally unavailable people lag on or attach themselves to empaths, and then that empath becomes emotionally unconscious. You know what I'm saying? It's like that empath was so in tune with their emotions and so in tune with everyone else's emotions that they got so wrapped up in that other person's emotions and they became emotionally unconscious. And that became me, right? So after discovering all of that, I was just like, now we gotta go a little deeper than that, right? So this is where we get a little deeper, which I mean, we already got deep, but take it how you want. I was like, well, where did this stem from? What was my first example of a person who was emotionally unavailable, right? As an empath and as a hypersensitive person, I never want to talk about these situations because I never want a particular person in my life to feel as if I hate them or as if they did everything wrong. I never want anybody to feel that way. But in the same breath, I feel like my story and the way that I grew up and the different experiences that I've had in life in general can help so many people. I just never want anyone to feel as if I'm bashing them or dogging them, but I have to stand in my truth. I know I chose this life for a reason, and I know that I chose to go through these experiences in order to share them with other people who are going through the same things and just literally don't know what to do. I am definitely a self-healer, and I am definitely my own parent. You know, I have parented myself through so many things from a very, very, very young age. I have a book of stories and a book of experiences to really share with people, but I had to dig deep. If you feel like you might get hit with a stray bullet, apologies now. I love you dearly, just know that. But I had to tell my story. So yeah, at a young age, I realized that my first example of an emotionally unavailable person was my mom, right? Some of the earliest things that kind of let me know that she was an emotionally unavailable people came down to how we interacted when things weren't so sweet, things weren't so pretty, you know, things weren't fun and funny and crazy and happy. You know, when things were rough, things were rough. No, I wasn't like physically abused or anything, or verbally abused. You know, I feel like I was the complete opposite. You know, I was very spoiled and stuff, but I was also neglected. At a young age, I remember, sorry y'all, I'm like having a hard time trying to figure out how I want to say this. So I remember when I was like in middle school, right? And let's say my mom was having a bad day, or let's say she just didn't feel like talking or whatever. She was like my only friend to talk to. You know, I didn't grow up with siblings or anything. I grew up with just her. And so, you know, after school and stuff, I would be so ready to talk to people, especially because I was used to moving around. It kind of plays into why I'm a quiet person today. Like, I'm just very used to always being in new situations, that when I'm in those situations, I just observe, you know. And even if I know you for a while, like, I'm still an observer just by heart, by nature, and that's how I grew up. So it's like I'm constantly observing my surroundings, and I don't speak much, because if I speak too much, I can't listen, I can't observe. I have to sit back, and I have to feel the energy, feel the room and everything like that. So, you know, I find myself a lot at school not talking as much and not really activating my throat as much. And so when I would get home, I'll be so ready to talk and like so ready to like have a conversation with somebody or talk about what happened in my day at school or something, because I didn't have siblings. There would be many of times where, you know, my mom would engage, but she wouldn't really engage as much. There would be times where she was interested, like, what did you do today? Or how's this going? How's that going? Or whatever, but she wouldn't really like engage like that. And there would be many times where I'll be talking and she would just stop talking, you know. I would just be like, did I like disappear? Like, am I still here? Like, I don't know. So I would be like, do you hear me? Like, that's what I would ask her, like, do you hear me? And many times, most of the time she would be like, you know, you're sitting right next to me, I can hear you. Like, there's no way I can't hear you. And, you know, I was just like, okay, you know, as a kid, it hurt my feelings for sure, but what was I to say to that? That just let me know that you don't want to talk to me, you know? That just led to like me always feeling like people never wanted to hear me speak. That's another reason why I don't speak as much when I'm in like big groups and stuff, because I have that complex, that trigger that's just like, people don't want to hear you anyway, so like don't say anything. Or just wait till you can say something that's like very a staple or very like very monumental, until you can say something that's just like grand, where it just stops everyone in their tracks. Don't say anything. And there will be times where if I did something like talk back as a teenager or whatever, or, you know, really it was talking back, like saying how I felt about things or whatever, I would get met with silence, always met with silence. It just didn't help, because it's like I had to learn communication through other people. You know, I had to learn communication through my hurt of people not communicating with me. There would be like a whole week would go by and we would walk past each other in the house and not say anything, and she would just go in her room and close the door, and then I'm just left there to figure things out on my own. Not that I didn't have food, I didn't have shelter, I didn't have transportation or nothing like that. It wasn't like she hindered me from anything. She just punished me with communication. You know, she punished me with not showing emotions towards me, not showing me care as an adult should do to a child that is learning about the world and doesn't know much and doesn't have many influences outside of that person in school to really learn how to communicate and learn how to just be sociable, interactable, stuff like that. Like, I wasn't given that example because I was always met with resistance. I didn't see this person in social settings often, but when I did see her in social settings, like, she seemed to be having a good time, and so I would feel myself getting sad when I would see her interact with other people, because I'm like, man, like, I don't get this, you know what I'm saying? I don't get this version of her, and everyone thinks that she's so fun, she's so loving, like, all this stuff, and then when we get home, I'm just by myself. I don't have anyone to talk to. It's just me and my PS2, Grand Theft Auto Vice City, okay? Like, that's who it was. Need for Speed, my driving, all that. Like, that's all I had. I would dance and work out. I would just do things on myself. That's why I'm like an excellent introvert, because I just like have grown up alone. That's how it's felt all my life. I don't know. She just wasn't capable of giving me that emotion. Looking back on it now, I can tell that she probably was going through hard times in her life, but I also can't make excuses, you know what I'm saying, because not much has changed. Our communication hasn't really changed for real. It just seems like she was just unable to give me that emotion that I always needed in life. But to connect that to my relationships now, or that I have went through, I found myself finding people who would be fun in social settings like my mom, and would laugh and communicate with people, but then when they leave around these groups and stuff, they would just be like, I didn't want to be there, or talking mess about everybody that was there, or just showing me a different side of like no communication. That's with my relationships, romantic relationships for sure. I feel like almost every relationship I've had, every relationship I've had, this is sad to say, every relationship I've had, they were all like emotionally unavailable, you know what I'm saying? And I was always like pulling teeth trying to get them to show me some emotion. Like, can we talk deep about this? Can we do this? Can you communicate with me? Like, how do you feel? You're not telling me how you feel. And like, just thinking back on that makes me tired, y'all. It makes me tired because I was going so hard. But yeah, y'all, I was going so freaking hard to get these people to see me, and so that I could see them and their emotions, and they were just like, no. And I would never wanted to leave these people, to be honest. Except for my last relationship, I'm the one who got left because I just saw so much potential, and I just wanted to hold on so bad to what I knew could be, what I knew could come to fruition. And I hung on to that so much. No, like, I want to marry this person. No, I want a family with this person. Like, no, I'm not giving up. I don't care if they shut their emotions off. I don't care if they tell me that they just don't love that deeply. I don't care if they drag my emotions through the mud and tell me that they didn't mean to do it, but continue to do it. I don't care, because I have enough love to give me and them. In reality, I was really just giving love to them. I wasn't giving no love to me, because if I gave love to myself, I wouldn't have stayed. I wouldn't have continued to put my all into a person who wasn't trying to put their all into themselves, who wasn't trying to do better for themselves, so that they could wake up happier each and every day, so that they could make better decisions, and so that they could have happier relationships, long-standing relationships in their life. They weren't trying to do those things. So why was I putting my neck on the line to do those things, After I took a look at my relationships and how I just did not value myself, you know what I'm saying? And that does not speak on the people that I date. It doesn't mean that they're lower than me in any means. It doesn't mean that they're not capable of love, they're not deserving or anything like that. It just means that I was willing to negate and neglect my feelings in order to match someone else's feelings who didn't even want to tap into their feelings. I was willing to be emotionally unavailable for the emotionally unavailable people just to be with them. And that developed an issue of codependency. Where did codependency come from? It came from me wanting to fill that void that was created during my childhood. I didn't have one relationship that I was in my life that gave me that equal give and take. Okay, I did not have that at all. And to this day, I truly just have one person who truly gives me a full equal give and take. That doesn't mean that the other relationships in my life are not valued or I don't love them as much as I love this other person. It's just I've never just experienced that. And it's just because this person actually can tap into their emotions and values their emotions and works through their emotions. And that's the main reason why we're able to connect fully. When it comes to like my other friendships and people that I start to form things with, they are in love with the fact that I understand them so much, that they've never found anyone who understands them the way that I understand them. So they want to keep me around, and I totally understand that. But at some point I had to make a decision for myself. I can only give you so much understanding because I have to save some for myself. I have to save some for myself, and I have to save some for the people who give me that equal give and take, you know? So you're only going to get so much of my energy, and you might feel like I'm being distant. You might feel like I don't want to be around you. You might feel like I don't want to be your friend. None of those things are true. I love everyone equally. It's just I had to take a real good look in the mirror and be like, okay, you feel as if you have empty relationships, and you feel as if you give so much and receive so little in return. So now it is time for you to go on a soul searching journey. That's basically where I'm at now. You know, I have really evaluated their relationships in my life. They really had to go under review. And I really had to take a good look like, well, how is this benefiting me? How is this hurting me? And how can this get better? Will it get better just by me doing something differently? Or do I need the other party to be involved in order to make this go good as well? And, you know, the common denominator was it takes two. But, you know, there are some things where some people just continuously hurt you and you just have to walk away from that. There is no repair. And then there's just some things where you have to look at your relationships differently, you know. In the past and for a very long time up until now, I have sought people who were emotionally unavailable because I just really loved that rough edge, you know, that edge that was just like, I don't care what nobody think, but you know, and I don't want no one to know that I'm sensitive on the inside, so I give off this hard exterior. But when I get home with my lady, aka me, or get around my friend or whatever, I let my guard down. I let all of my emotions out. They're the only person who truly knows how I feel. I loved all of that until I realized that it took all of my energy away from loving myself and acknowledging how I felt about things, and feeling that I was unheard, and feeling like no one understood me once again, like I always said before I got so deep down into my emotional unconsciousness. So now that I'm back emotionally conscious, I'm just like, we got to do things differently. You know, I have to put in the energy that people give me. I cannot give more energy than people give me, point blank. Okay, I have just decided that no matter how long I've known you, no matter the memories that we shared, no matter what, I'm going to give you the energy you give me. I'm going to be a mirror for you all the time. I'm not going to give you more than what you give me. That's all. I'm always going to show love and compassion. I'm always going to be the bigger person, but I'm not going to be a people pleaser anymore. I'm not going to continue to let people make me feel as if I must put their feelings before mine. And I will never, ever, ever let anyone invalidate how I feel, even if that wasn't their intention. Because how I feel is real. My perception is real. Just the same grace I give these people about how they feel about anything that I've done, I need that same grace in return. This goes for all of my relationships, and that goes family, friends, lovers, co-workers, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm giving you the energy you give me, and you can't be mad at me when I don't want to mess with you anymore, or when I give more energy to someone else who gives me that same energy. This whole whirlwind of me figuring out like how to love myself more just opened up the door to so many other things and so many other shadow aspects of myself that I really had to dig deep and bring to the light. You know, I really had to sit with it, and I really had to be like, you know what? This is what happened. This is the role I played. This is what I don't want to happen anymore. This is what I do want to continue to happen. And this is my boundary from now on. You know, this is what I will take, and this is what I won't take. Who doesn't like it can bounce on out, okay? And who does like it, come on in, because we in a love fest now. We talk about our issues. We talk about how I love you deeply. We talk about our issues. We talk about things that bother us. We talk about how our feelings were hurt at this point, but we talk about our joys and our successes. And you know, we can be each other's, you call me when you down, I call you when I'm down person. Or we can keep it surface level. I could just be your party friend. I could just be your friend, we go get something to eat. I could be your friend that we just talk about small talk. How's the weather today? How was work? You know, what's going on with the fam? Other than that, we ain't got nothing else to talk about. And that is all love. It is nothing malicious. It is nothing like, oh yeah, I secretly don't like this person no more. Like, no, like, I just give you this, you give me that, I still love you, I'ma see you, you know what I'm saying? We gonna kick it. I just know what I can do with this person and what I can't do with this person. So with that being said, you guys, I hope this conversation helped y'all to really take a good look at yourself and really understand, like, am I attracting emotionally unavailable people? Have I shut off my emotions even though I'm an empath and I feel everyone else's emotions? Have I neglected mine? Am I living true to my self-love? And do I give myself the same grace, compassion, and love that I give everybody else? You know, these are questions that I really want you guys to ask yourself, okay? Really sit and dig deep about these things. So these can really help you in your shadow work, book, journal, whatever you want to use. You know, some people use grimoires, and grimoires are beautiful, but I feel like it takes some time and creativity to really make a grimoire. You can just pick up a notebook. You know, if you're new to this thing, if you've journaled before, then you can do shadow work, okay? If you've wrote on a piece of paper before, you can do shadow work, okay? So you can get a spiral notebook and just write down those questions I just asked. Have you showed yourself the same compassion, grace, and love that you show everyone else around you? Do you attract emotionally unavailable people? Have you shut off your emotions to accommodate other people's emotions and to take in their energy, leaving no energy for yourself? Okay, those are the 3 main questions. Those will be my conversation starters. You don't have to put your business in the comments if you don't want to do that. You know, I totally understand it. But in the same breath, your story can help someone just like mine, but no pressure at all. Talk about the things that it hurts to talk about. That's what shadow work is. Talking about the things that hurt deep down inside that we try to push away and not bring to the light. It's time to bring them to the light. But I will be doing a video on exactly like what shadow work is, giving you guys some more prompts and talking about the different ways people go about shadow work and stuff like that. Yeah, you guys, this was nice to talk about things and get things off my chest, which I mean, they've been off my chest because I do my shadow work. So I really just have like a list of shadow work things I want to talk about. And I hope you guys like this video. This was very different from my normal teaching videos, sitting at my table, my book of notes. I have no notes. I just have me, myself, my heart, and my memory, okay? And yeah, so I hope this helped someone out there. I'm pretty sure it did, because a lot of us need help. Point blank period. We all need help. You guys let me know how you guys like this. This is the beginning of my healing portion of my channel, and this is the beginning of Digging Deep series, volume number 1. Okay, volume number 1. I'm just elated to do this video because I just wanted to do something different for so long, and I'm glad that I can get to this because we about to have some deep talks on here, okay? Some really deep talks, and I don't care to expose my business. I don't. My story is my story. My life is my life. Anywho, you guys, Stay tuned for my next video. I'm not sure if it's going to be another digging deep series or if we're going to do some crafts, because I got something that'll be fun to do to get your mind off things. So with that being said, you guys already know I love you. And when you love yourself first, you got so much more love to give everybody else. Bye, y'all.